Hello everybody, Brian here, another on the road review after watching A Quiet Place. Starring John Krasinski and his wife Emily Blunt. John also directed this movie. It's actually his third, although this is probably his most publicized movie. And this is the first, I think this is the first horror film I've watched for 2018 that has been released, and boy is this a good one. It seems that comedians in horror movies go well together. I mean, last year you had Jordan Peele in Get Out, which was nominated for Best Picture, and won Best Screenwriting, or Best Original Screenplay. Now, you have freaking John Krasinski, known for The Office, coming in to write this own little horror masterpiece in itself. Because A Quiet Place, I can't say it like it's not the scariest movie ever, but man does it scare you well. And its premise is like the perfect recipe for scariness, because obviously the title itself suggests that the film is very quiet, and if you make any noise you are dead. So basically this is a time where like these little monsters that are extremely sensitive to sound pretty much populate the earth, and they don't know how they came, they don't know how to stop them. All they know is that they have to be very quiet, otherwise they are dead. Because pretty much if you make a noise, you're dead. They know where you are then, because they're blind, they can't really see you. So John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, and a few other kids, 3 other kids, they are just trying to survive on their own. One of the kids is killed because he's 4, and he has a toy rocket that he really wanted to play with. And it went off, and the monster heard it and gobbled him up. And so one of the girls, she's very traumatized by that, because she feels like her father doesn't love her because, you know, she gave him the toy. But yeah, so well, the kind of this one day. The movie goes over like a span of like a couple of days, and some of them have a lot of days in between. They jump from day to day. But there's one day in particular that the movie really highlights, and that is the day that Emily Blunt's character is pregnant, or her baby's due, and of course that just brings a whole bunch of stress because delivering babies is painful, and going into labor, and just, you know, getting that sucker out. I mean, so she's trying all she can not to scream, to not to attract the monsters, and everyone else is trying to, you know, make sure that she's safe and distract the monsters enough to where she can deliver the baby. So yeah, it's a very high intense movie. The 3-act structure is actually, it's kind of hard to get. Like, it's hard to kind of pinpoint where each act ends and begins, because it's just not, you know, cut out in a normal way. I guess you could probably study it. I mean, the first half, or the first act, you know, it establishes, you know, how the world works. You know, they have to be very quiet. Getting prescription drugs or food in general is kind of hard. They have to pretty much go the medieval method. And all the while, John Krasinski's character is trying to find a way to defeat the monsters. But yeah, of course, sound is probably the most important aspect of the movie, and boy, is it ever amazing. I mean, they get it right. They get it right. they, I mean, they do use music in a really effective way. It almost felt, some of the music kind of felt like a video game deal, like where your characters are talking and then they just have that background music. I mean, that's kind of what it felt like to me. So that's not a bad thing. I kind of felt like that was a good thing. And the characters use sign language to speak to each other for like 90% of the movie, probably 95%. They hardly talk at all. There's only a few instances where they talk, and the only way they talk is because there's a waterfall that kind of mutes them out, or there's a, they're in a soundproof room so that the monsters can't hear them. But even then, they have to really whisper so that they can't be heard. So yeah, there are things like that come into play. But like every crack, every step, every just breath, it's just magnified tenfold, because if just one sound, one little snap of a twig, one, you drop a picture frame, you drop a lamp, you hit a toy rocket, I mean, you're dead. So it's very they gotta be very careful. I'm just going through a park, so sorry. Sorry for all that bumping. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, sound was perfect. Music was very minimal because it didn't really need the sound. This is just like the quietest horror film ever. And that's just great. Like, less is more. That's kind of my philosophy when I'm watching a film, or even like making a film, writing a film. It's like, less is more. Let the movie do the storytelling. You don't need to explain everything, and they didn't. It was really good. Performances were fantastic. I think everyone did a fantastic job. Didn't like it's gonna be sound terrible, but I didn't like the kid that was killed. He annoyed the crap out of me. Oh no! Okay, you got me? Alright. Whoops. Sorry about that. Oh, I'm back. Alright. My phone fell off its stand. Anyway. The kid that got himself killed was... He sort of, annoyed me. And it's not a spoiler because they give it away in the trailer. So yeah, so sorry if you didn't watch the trailer. But yeah, the movie was really I liked the kid, the oldest girl. Don't know her the actress's name, but she's great. I really loved her performance. The struggle of just whether she's loved by her dad or not, because she feels responsible for killing her brother, or for the death of her brother, sorry, from that monster attack many months ago, over a year ago. Yeah, and I think she's actually deaf, so the performance was a little more realistic, and I'll say that the chemistry between John Krasinski and Emily Blunt is very nice. Obviously, they're married in real life, so the chemistry obviously worked really well for this movie. It is that you can believe, their struggle together, and you can, believe their family. Loved the coloring. It kind of reminded me of just Walking Dead in terms of just the coloration. It was a little more saturated, so it's kind of a little more, it feels a little more desperate. I don't know, there's a sense of desperation in the colors. Just, it's gray. You're longing for colors. And they give you colors when it seems a little more, happy. like when John and his son are at the waterfall, you know, because they can make noise, so there's a little more freedom in that. Because the water drowns out their sounds. So the story plays along that line. I almost thought that the movie was going to overstay its welcome. And there are some instances, you know, it's like I said earlier, like, you know, I didn't like all of the characters. The kids were kind of annoying because they were clumsy and dumb, but, you know, they're kids, so, you know, they just aren't as smart. I mean, they're smart, but, you know, they're not like, they're just a little careless, I would say, in like dealing with sounds. Like, you know, one of the kids knocked over a lamp because he just was a little too happy about winning a game, and I'm just like, dude, you little idiot, you're bringing out these little monsters. But, you know, what can you do? They're kids. Or that, you know, that kid at the very beginning that turns on his rocket toy because, hey, I want to turn on my rocket toy and make loud noises, and yeah, that's just dumb. But that didn't happen too often, and the kid characters I ended up liking a whole lot, and by the end of the movie, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm gonna give this movie a secret handshake. Man, they've been doing really good in horror movies the last 6 years, I guess. It's like, wow, good job, good job, Hollywood, making like these really high quality horror movies. I mean, it's not like the scariest movie ever. It's not demon possession. It's just they're trying to be quiet and live in a world that is now infested with monsters that are very sensitive to sound. It's a terrific premise. It had the potential to fail miserably, but it did not. It was phenomenal, and couldn't recommend you guys more to check the film out. Go for it. Alright, so anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, I'm Brian, and I will see you at the movies.